Hi, my name is Amarachi and I am the founder of Amarachi Amans, which is a luxury women and menswear clothing brand, and we are all about storytelling. So I'm really looking forward to meeting the guests that I'll be speaking with. I'm all down for a conversation about fashion, a conversation about Christ at the same time, and sharing our faith. So I think this person will be on the same wavelength as me. So yeah, it's going to be fun.
My name is Dolo and I run a Christian elevated streetwear brand called By Simonu. Essentially it is menswear, but we do cater to women and make unisex clothing. So from today, from what I've heard, I should be meeting a guest that I don't know, and yeah, it should be a good conversation, and we'll ask each other a couple questions, just get to know each other more, get to know each other's journeys more, and from what I've been told that we have been on similar journeys, similar paths, so it will be nice to meet someone that's quite like-minded and on a similar journey to myself.
Who are you and what do you do?
So my name is Dolo and I run a brand called By Simonu. So Simonu is basically my surname, and it's basically, essentially it's a menswear brand, but it's kind of unisex because it's like oversized clothing. Do a little bit of women's wear as well, just here and there. And yeah, I've just been doing it for about 3 years or so, and I pretty much do every single part of the business, from packing orders, customer service, logistics, designing, the photography, social media, literally everything I do. But yeah, that's pretty much me. What about yourself?
For me, my name's Amarachi and I am a fashion designer and creative director of Amarachi Amans. So that is a women and menswear luxury clothing brand. And yeah, it kind of just stems from my faith, but our motto is like heavy storytelling. So the same as you, like I do practically everything for my business. So that is the photography, photo shoots, just the whole rounder. So yeah, that's me. But yeah.
I have a question.
Okay.
That's kind of off our questions, but you said your faith is involved in the brand. Like, how so?
So for me, when I started my brand, okay, how I describe it is my brand is an expression of me. So it's an expression of self. So I can't not have my faith within it. So that can be just inspiration from the Bible, but then it just like being interpreted through visual storytelling. So that's how I say it's a big part, because it's a big part in my life. So everything that stems from me, has a little bit of faith in it. Yeah.
I have a similar journey. Pretty much identical, to be fair. Like, I get inspiration from scripture and then try to make design from that, or like turn words into imagery and stuff like that as well, as best as I can, trying not to be like blasphemous or something like that. But yeah. So why did you want a career in fashion?
Oh, okay. Why did I want a career in fashion? I wouldn't say I have the story of I've always loved fashion from young, because maybe I didn't realize it, but it wasn't my focus. I was more so sporty. So I was trying to go to Wimbledon and play tennis. But I think when I turned 17, I just felt led to like just start being consistent with the one thing that was consistent in my life, which was fashion. So I was always drawing something and being like, oh, I'm going to just design my own wardrobe. And then I kind of took that seriously because I played a lot of sport and different sport. So with that being consistent, I just decided to pursue it in education. And yeah, I just naturally fell in love with it. And I think for me, the driving factor is storytelling. It's a way of displaying a narrative that you want other people to hear or to see. So yeah, that's how I see fashion, and that's why I like it.
Okay. With myself, I didn't actually want a career in fashion. Like, I didn't think to myself, oh yeah, I want to be this person in this brand or that brand. It was initially, I remember my cousin in America started a brand and I thought, oh, that's kind of cool. Like, I do like fashion, let me try. And I was like really young at the time. I was maybe like year 11 or sixth form or something like that. Didn't really know how it worked. Tried to message manufacturers in China. They told me some mad quotes and I was just like, nah, I'm okay. And then I left it for a few years. And then maybe like 2019, jumped back into it. So this is about maybe 7 years later. 7, 8 years later, jumped back into it, and yeah, just kind of took it from there really. And I initially just wanted to make clothes for myself. That's like, because basically I was thinking to myself, I'm seeing a lot of clothes out there that I'd like. Let's say at the time it was like Amiri jeans will pop in. I was thinking I would love Amiri jeans, but paying like one bag, like I'm not doing it. Firstly, I don't have it like that to pay one bag for jeans, and I'm just not doing it. So I was like, all right, cool. Let me take matters into my own hands and try to design clothes myself. And yeah, from there it just kind of snowballed from making jeans to then initially designing like my most popular T-shirt, the Jesus Christ Saves Lives T-shirt, and then that T-shirt has just pushed me out there. Like from that's the first product, and that's the same product that's been selling, and that's the best selling for like over 3 years now.
Oh, wow.
So yeah.
I love how you mentioned jeans. So I feel like a lot of people who started, that was their go-to, that material specifically. For me, I really loved denim. So like revamping, I think it was the easiest way to get into fashion when you're just like buying vintage stuff and then revamping it.
Literally.
And I remember seeing like a quote where it's like the people who are like revamping denim and like spray painting jeans or whatever are going to be like the next people who are starting brands and having it like Louis Vuitton and so forth. So I just find it so interesting that we start with denim and revamping stuff, especially when it comes to your own personal wardrobe and then wanting to express that with other people.
Yeah.
So yeah. How have you learned the skills and knowledge that you need to succeed in fashion?
A lot of trial and error. And as well, I like to watch other people and see how, firstly, what they do and how they operate and stuff like that, the mistakes that they make. So I like to watch a lot of interviews and read a lot of interviews as much as I can, like online articles and stuff like that, to see where people went wrong, where they went right, what works, as well as seeing, I guess, just the general, like what people are into. So then I lean towards that. For example, if it's now like people are leaning towards, I don't know, puff printed hoodies or something like that, I now need to learn what designs work for puff print, because it's not every design that can work for that. So then I have to design for that. So then I have to learn a new skill rather than what works for, let's say for example, my Jesus Christ Saves Lives is 11 colors on the front and 11 colors on the back. That won't translate to puff print. So I now need to learn the skills how to translate a design like that to puff print. So it's a lot of trial and error, a lot of just like sitting down and working it out, because I have no other options. Like, I'm not trying to pay someone to do something that I know isn't beyond me. And one thing I say to myself is that if a human being created it, I can do it.
Yeah.
Regardless of like how difficult it is. Because if it's on the level of God made it, like nature, I know that's out of my hands. So if a man made it, I can find a way how to figure it out. But yeah.
Yeah.
What about yourself?
For me, I find that I learned a lot of my skills and knowledge. Obviously, I studied it. I studied fashion, but I did a lot of internships from the moment I started pursuing fashion. So I think I've learned a lot of knowledge and skills, especially with industry, when it even comes to like buyers and wholesale and so forth, with like just mentors that I've had over the years. And I think just having them like go before me, and let's say like recently I was just working with my friend Tolu. It's crazy because I call her my friend now, but I literally interned for her when I was 21, and I'm not 21 anymore, but it's the case of like just being able to have people who are older than me who are pursuing that same thing, and being able to like work alongside them really taught me a lot about industry, but not only that, like putting in the work. And I think when you run your own brand, like you said, you don't have all the funds to be like, I'm going to pay this person, pay this person, and pay this person. So you tend to just learn it for yourself and continue to just like master the craft. So I'm a big believer in putting like 10,000 hours, because it's like, unless you want to give you 10,000 pounds, you know, I'm gonna have to put in the hours, you know. So I think, and then also having the mind of just excellence. So that always pushes me, like you said, about almost like having capacity to learn something and apply it. So that's kind of like the way I do what I do and gain skills, because it's not actually beyond you. Like you can actually learn, and the more you do it, you'll get better. So,
One thing I like about learning things myself is that when it's now time to pay someone, they can't mess me around.
Exactly.
Because I know how this thing works. Like by then I'll be seasoned in that thing. So it's like, I know how much maybe something should cost. I know how long it should take, this, that, whatever. So, so I have a standard and an expectation.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's just, and I think I learned that through previously doing music, for example, like engineering. So mixing and mastering songs. So I'll know how something should sound. I'll know how long it should possibly take to do it. I know maybe how much it should cost. Obviously, everyone has various prices, but I'll then know that when now I need to hand it over to someone else, like to give the work to someone else, that I'll know like, cool, it should be this standard.
Yeah.
It should be like this level, this quality. But yeah, that's just, it's a way how I see it, I guess.
Yeah, and I think that's a really key point, especially when working with others, when you now have like what you need in order to pay others. You have the standard, you have the excellence, but I think one thing I'm also learning is you also have the respect for the person who's doing what you used to do. I think when you've actually done it yourself, when you now, let's say a graphic designer who can do like 5 graphics in an hour, I have a greater respect and a better understanding that if I'm asking for 50 things in an hour, it's not going to be possible.
Yeah.
But if somebody's able to communicate with me like, oh no, I can only do a certain amount of work in this hour, I'm like, oh, that makes sense. But the standard is still there, you know? So I think just being able to like wear all the hats in your businesses, I say businesses if you have multiple, but just wearing all the hats in what you do just gives you a better understanding of the people who are going to work with you in the future. So yeah.
Another side note to that is I like to help people and like teach people things. So for example, people will come to me and be like, oh yeah, they want to start their own brand. Like, what should they do? Let's see, even if it's just starting from manufacturers, I can give them I won't give them mine. Or maybe I will if they're my guy, but like if it's now just to find them, it's stuff that you can just go on YouTube and find, but I'll just break it down to you in 5 minutes. Do A, B, C, D, ask them these set of questions, and from there you start moving. And then stuff like that I know I have what I would have wanted to know, basically, if that makes sense. So like, for example, I don't want, if someone comes to me, like one of my guys comes to me like, oh yeah, I want to start a brand, I'm not going to send them away and say, oh yeah, you need to go and do the work.
Yeah.
Like, I've done the work, so God has allowed me to be in that position. So now let me make it easier for the person behind me.
Facts.
Let me not make it harder, because that'll be something that, let's say, probably something in our parents' kind of generation, that they're gonna kind of make it harder for the person that's in front of them rather than making it easier. The person behind them rather than making it easier. But it's just backwards. It don't make sense. It's not conducive to building wealth or success. Like, you should make it easier for the person behind you.
Yeah.
And that should just continue and continue. So yeah, just helping people and passing on the knowledge I have. What is your biggest achievement in fashion thus far?
Oh wow. In terms of just like my whole journey
Anything,
till this day. Oh
anything.
Gosh. There's a lot. Okay, biggest achievement. Okay, I would say my biggest achievement was actually having my first pop-up store under the Piccadilly lights.
Where's that?
Piccadilly.
No, what Piccadilly lights? What do you mean?
Like, you know the lights, Piccadilly lights, like the big jumbo screen.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Wait, you don't call it Piccadilly lights?
No, Piccadilly Circus.
But that's the area.
Yeah, like.
But the lights itself, they're lights, right? Like.
What you mean, the electronic signs?
Yeah.
Nah, just Piccadilly Circus, innit? Like.
But yeah, like I had it under what you would call Piccadilly Circus.
Well, where do you mean, like?
So you know the lights.
Yeah.
Underneath the lights, there's a store there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I just call it Piccadilly Lights.
Okay, that's cool.
Yeah.
Okay.
So my biggest achievement, was just having my first pop-up store under the Piccadilly Lights. It was like a collaboration pop-up store with other like businesses. It was really good. I think for me, it was kind of shocking because it was like, I think when I heard of the opportunity 4 days prior to that, I was like, one day Amarachi Amans is going to be on the jumbo screen. And then my friend sent me the opportunity. I was like, okay, we're close enough, let's do it. And I think for me, it was an eye-opener because I think for the first time, just being able to see people interact with my clothing in person was just like, it was kind of shocking. But then, especially for the guys, because it was literally like the dress that they kept on gravitating towards.
Yeah.
And my understanding was like, okay, like for your girlfriend or for, but I think, yeah, it was a big achievement for me having the pop-up shop there, because I'm a big believer in my business being stationed as a landmark in the future. So to be on that landmark was like, okay, we're getting there. So yeah. What about you?
I would say it's just being here, like 3.5 years trade, or was it? Yeah, about 3.5 years trading. And they say that businesses or new businesses, they basically fail within the first 3 years, or they tend to fail in the first 3 years. And to be even 6 months after the 3 years, like, I'm just glad to be here. And as well as seeing the business grow, whether it's through the analytics or revenue, stuff like that, as well as seeing the customers grow. Like, for example, I'm not sure if you use Shopify or not. You can see, like, when an order comes through, you can see, like, if it's a new customer, as well as like seeing new customers come in, seeing returning customers come in, as well as, like, it's like little successes. Let's say the product in itself is just getting better and better, designs are getting better, quality is getting better, and I feel like these are things that I've really tried to double down on. Like, I don't want someone to wear my clothes and say that, oh, this terrible this and this ink started coming off, this print started coming off. There's been issues with that, but then it's like, it's been so small and I fixed it immediately. Like, I don't want to have a time where it's like things are just bad. So little successes like that, and just getting better with things. Like, if I scroll back through the Instagram feed, you can tell, like, the journey. Like, you can tell it's getting better with the journey. Each product or each release, things are just getting better. Just the look of things, whether it's the clothes, the models used, the locations, the way it's shot, the quality of the picture in itself. Like, things are just getting better, and I can see it and I can feel it, and I'm actually finally seeing people with the clothes on. Like, it took me about a year and a half to see, despite selling like quite a lot. I only saw someone for the first time, despite people coming to me before saying, oh yeah, I've seen people in your clothes. It took me about a year and a half. And it was finally at the WizKid concert, the one in the O2, that basically I was on level one, vibes in with my brother. One of my friends was like, oh yeah, he works at O2. He was like, oh yeah, I'll take you to a box upstairs, the empty box. Went up there now. My brother goes to the balcony. He looks down. He's like, oh yeah, come look at this. Look over the balcony, and someone right beneath us is wearing one of the t-shirts. And it's like, it's almost like a miracle. Like, it was like, what's the chances of someone right below me wearing the t-shirt? Then didn't see anyone wearing it for a long time. But now, like, I go about to, let's say, to church, for example. There's people wearing it there. People send me pictures of like someone walking past them. Some video of like some guy walking past and he's wearing the jumper, people wearing the jacket, stuff like that. But yeah, it's like, it's kind of just like a miracle. Like, I never expected this. I didn't know what to expect even this time last year. And so many times that the business kind of almost collapsed and folded in on itself, and I almost had to stop trading. But it's like God has just come through time and time again. Literally, even up till, I can give you a testimony of like 3 weeks ago with this t-shirt, and it's been like my best-selling product, I think, ever. I think, maybe not, but one of the best-selling, and it's only been a couple weeks. But yeah, well, this colorway specifically, should I say?
Love
But yeah.
that. Okay. What do you hope to achieve long term?
I just want to make great products that will last a long time and to stand the test of time. Eventually, to be in like stores, going to like wholesale, for example, like Selfridges, Harrods, stuff like that. I don't know if I have a dream to have my own store. Like, I guess so, because it'll be like a home for the brand. Because, for example, let's say you buy your first home, if you haven't bought one already, like, you kind of make it yours. Like, you'll decorate it like differently to your parents' house, or like it will smell differently. Like, you'll just make it yours. Like, and that's what I would, if I'm going to have like a actual retail space, that's what I would want. And just to have people experience the brand in a way that is physical rather than e-commerce. And yeah, just to get the brand to get bigger, and ultimately, yeah, to glorify God with everything, and not to get ahead of myself. Let's say financially, or no, like the notoriety of the brand, or none of that stuff. I don't want to get ahead of myself in that terms. And yeah, just get the brand as big as possible without me getting an inflated ego or something like that. But yeah, what about yourself?
For me, long term, I would say I want my brand to really impact the lives of others. Um, the kind of like business method that I'm going with is like doing collections and fashion shows. So when I talk about impacting others, because my brand is all about storytelling, like long term, I want to see big productions, but then at the same time, people leaving transformed from just coming to the show. I do want to have like a physical store, but it's like the HQ kind of vibe. Because I think just having people experience an in-person experience would definitely testify to what we're doing on a daily basis. So yeah, I would say that's the long-term goal, to have like physical stores in different countries, attesting to the landmark statement that I made prior. But yeah, realistically, the main goal is to impact the lives of other people and
Yeah.
same glorify God, through His word, but then through the form of communication in fashion.
Yeah. Like it's like as people say, like how Christians should be, we should basically be the head or the forefront of any and every industry. And why we're not, obviously, that's up to debate and various reasons. But it's like, why can't we have brands that are based off faith, that are at the forefront, that everything around, as you said, is just excellent, whether it's the way it looks on socials, the website, the clothes itself, the way it impacts people, maybe what happens behind the scenes. Let's say you have employees now, like how you treat the employees, like little things like that. Like why are we not trying to get to that level of excellence? But
Yeah.
yeah.
I think there has been a taboo where it's like, I don't know, I'm not even going to say a specific generation, but a taboo of just like, oh, don't go into these industries. And it's
Yeah. I've heard
our
that.
generation is like, I'm going to go in. I ain't got time for this. Like, I need to
Yeah.
go. But yeah, I think the time is now where we are going to be spearheading things. And I'm not saying it as just Christians. I think just as people who have integrity, who have a standard of excellence, leading the way and just creating a new path for the youngers who are coming up after us. So I think in as much as we're running our own businesses, it is a big responsibility when you are setting out to almost be a trailblazer as a Christian in these industries. So yeah.
And there's a scripture that says, if I'm not mistaken, that says, "To whom much is given, much is required." So it's like when, I don't know if you've ever feel like the weight of what you're doing, or you just kind of is it steamroll or whatever the phrase is, like just your just head is down and you're just moving. Like sometimes it's like I guess I feel the weight of it when, or the pressure of it. Let's say, for example, when I'm releasing something or I'm designing something like for the customers like this.
Yeah.
It feels like a risk every single time. Like it feels like, I know it's not true, but it feels like I'm at the brink of collapse. If like one drop goes wrong,
Wow.
feels like that's it. Like that's the kind of weight that I feel and especially in those times is now when it's my faith is really gonna show. It's not when everything is going, all smooth and all the numbers are coming in and people are liking and all of that kind of stuff. Is now when I'm tested, when now everything's like on the line essentially. What is the most important thing you've learned on your journey so far, on your fashion journey so far?
The most important thing I've learned on my fashion journey. What's coming to mind is integrity is everything. And then connections with other people. And I'm not talking about networking for the sake of, oh, I want to work with you on something. I mean like genuine connections with just different people that you meet. And I think just being able to treat people as who they are rather than what they do. Has been really important to me on this journey, because I'm just finding like when I think about when I started to where I am now, and the people that I know, the people who've been able to like teach me things and just always be like, okay, like, do you know about this? Like, let me tell you about the industry and so forth. I think that's played a big part in the knowledge that I have. So being able to pause the question again so that I don't derail.
What is the most important thing you've learned on your fashion journey so far?
Yeah, so just being able to have others who have been just genuine and people of integrity. Like, I'm able to see that and be like, no, there are people like so who exist already in the industry. So my mindset going into it is that even if I do come across those, I don't want to generalize it, but when I do hear of the fashion industry, it's like, oh, you know, very snobby, very who's who, whatever. But I think because of what I've experienced from a very young age, just interning and working in the industry, I've had a lot of great people. So I expect to meet great people. Even if somebody is like snobby or whatever, I'm still going to see like them as a great person who can be somebody who's integrous, you know, or I can show that to them.
Yeah.
So I think that's just been really important, the connections that I'm making, but making those connections with the people, not what they do, and leading from that. So, yeah.
You said like about people being snobby and stuff like that. One thing I've just realized is like, you know what? It might not be them, like their actual nature. It may just be the environment has breeded them to be like that. Because you know them. Imagine like you're in a room of 5 people, everyone's being snobby. Maybe eventually you may become, or God forbid, but maybe someone could become like that, just because that's just what's happening around them. But really and truly, that's not their nature. That's not really what they're about. So yeah, I hear you.
What about you?
I'll say, just in general, probably patience. Like you could see a brand, like I've seen brands that maybe they've started after me, but they're blowing up, like they're getting numbers, and I'm thinking, like, you could be thinking like, oh, my designs are better than yours, or your thing is like meaty, like this, that, whatever. But it's just patience. Like your time will come. Just keep like hitting the nail on the head. Your time will come. And especially one thing I've learned is that you don't want something before your time, because it's like for example, imagine you opened your website's open now, whatever, you get 10,000 orders. Can you manage that 10,000? Louis Vuitton can manage the 10,000, but can you? If you can't, then maybe just chill. Like the 10,000 will come, but at the right time. And let's say business-wise, capital, but at the same time, wisdom to know how to use that capital. Because you can, if you like have £1 million, but are you going to use it as wisely as the next man or next woman? What else? I would say integrity as well, and it's in small, little, tiny things. For example, like with my manufacturers, they could be like, they could send my product, and then on the customs declarations, they could possibly put the value as low, so I don't get charged by customs. But I always tell them, like, say what it is, even though it's like it's gonna hurt me financially. It's just, I know God is looking at me. I know God is watching. I can't sell a T-shirt that says Jesus Christ saves lives, but behind the scenes, I'm now cutting corners. Like it don't make sense. It doesn't add up. So little things like that, or I don't know, just treating customers right. Obviously, the ones that try to take the piss, like, you know, you have to do what you have to do, but essentially just doing right by the customers, because at the end of the day, they are literally the ones that are keeping the lights on. Without them, nothing's gonna happen. So yeah.
Pay interns.
Pay interns.
Pay interns.
It's really easy for us to say pay interns. Most times they don't have the money to pay interns. Like lots of these
do.
But you know, my work is not sustainable, and anyone who tells you their work is sustainable is lying.